Just wanted to come on here as the government shutdown proceeds into week one with no plan in place for both the left and right to convene. The shutdown will likely proceed right on into week two. I don't believe they're going to really even make any discussions to end it this week. So understand this shutdown leading to all sorts of programs being halted, federal employees not being paid, military, all of these folks working without a paycheck indefinitely until the government can open back up and they will pay them their money back. But a lot of folks living check to check cannot afford to work indefinitely, hoping that they'll get back money down the line. But I want to ask you folks, do you think they really want to resolve this and end the shutdown? Have you seen anything coming from, let's say, President Trump, whose mission should be to get the Democrats and Republicans to work together for the good of the people? Have you seen any evidence whatsoever that that is the goal or the aim from President Trump? Because my humble opinion is, and I hate to even say this, is that I don't believe Trump wants the shutdown to conclude and the government to get back up and running. My opinion is that he prefers the division as opposed to unifying the Republicans and Democrats. You only need like 6 or 7 votes from the Democrats, so you don't need many. Doesn't take much, just a little bit of reaching out across the aisle, and this could be done. Meanwhile, as opposed to doing that, President Trump is posting pictures of Hakeem Jeffries wearing a sombrero, which a hell of a lot of MAGA are admitting this is hilarious, this is funny. I like that. Okay, fair enough. You may view this as humorous, but keep in mind, these sites are divided right now. You're trying to open up the government. Is this the time for comedy when so many Americans are claiming to be suffering? Whether it's putting the military in cities to allegedly lower crime, or even the cost of groceries and food and things like that. Is this the time right now to be dealing in comedy? I want to get that across to you, because I don't understand, if your goal is to get the two parties to work together to get the government back up and running, why would you make jokes about the other party? Now, I get a hell of a lot of people insult Trump. I get that President Trump believes the impeachments were wrong, the 34 felonies were wrong. He believes he has been wrong, and therefore, as president, his job is to bestow revenge on all of the Democratic Party. Fair enough. But you're not going to get the parties to work together and revenge simultaneously. You can only get one or the other. If you want to focus on taking out revenge on your adversaries, fine, go for that. But you're not going to get the government to work together while you're doing that. You got to focus on one or the other. I'll ask you folks, which one does it appear President Trump is working towards? Getting the parties to work together to get the country back on track, or taking revenge on his adversaries? In addition to the sombrero post that he made, and by the way, when the Democrats got upset about the sombrero post and started calling it racist and things like that, the Trump administration doubled down on that. They started showing it on all the monitors throughout the White House and even playing mariachi music while doing this. So they doubled down on that. But in addition to Hakeem Jeffries and all of that, he's also making posts suggesting that he's going to start discussing plans on how to punish the Democrats with one of the authors of Project 2025. I'll post the comment on screen, but I'm not even going to go through the process of reading it, because the whole purpose of this post is to ask, is the president making a concerted effort to try to get the parties to work together? I don't see it. Maybe you do. If so, state it in the comments. Continuing on, in addition to the sombrero post, throwing out Project 2025, which is something he has vehemently denied up until now, and suddenly he knows about it. He's also threatened to fire federal workers if the government shut down to begin with, which is not commonplace, normally what they do. Normally, when the government shuts down, projects are suspended. People do not get paid until the government opens back up, and then they get their back pay. You don't normally fire people. That's something President Trump added on as some sort of punishment for letting the government close to begin with. So that's something specific to President Trump. So last but not least, while all of this is happening, Of course, you're hearing about all the stories of the military being deployed to predominantly liberal cities. Now, a lot of folks favor the deployment of the military to liberal cities to lower crime or to defend ICE or whatever the case may be. But what about the economy? If you're living in Idaho and you're paying too much for groceries, how does deploying the National Guard to Portland or Chicago help you out at all? Most Americans do not live in Portland, do not frequent Chicago or D.C., but they're cheering on the deployment of the National Guard to these cities they have nothing to do with when they're paying astronomical prices for groceries and the cost of living. Seems like that would be more important, considering that affects far more Americans than the perception of crime in Chicago, Portland, or D.C., or some of these other nations. And of course, some of you may have heard President Trump suggest that Portland is currently burning to the ground. Nobody believes that. And I don't have any idea why he would make up such a falsehood. I love to hear from you in the comments. Why do you think he would just make that up? It's pretty easy for President Trump to demand the media outlets let him know what's going on in Portland. He could pick up the phone and call Fox, ABC, NBC, CBS, any news affiliate in the Portland, Oregon area and simply ask them what's going on. The idea that he's on television suggesting that Antifa is burning Portland to the ground as we speak, no clue whatsoever why he would just make that up out of thin air, considering the citizens of Portland are actually sitting there on television watching him while they're at a park enjoying a picnic or out bike riding. And this guy's talking about your town is burning to the ground. Just fabricating this out of thin air and using the military to go and address what amounts to nothing but a lie. I don't understand that. But do you see President Trump as trying to unite the government for the sake of getting the country back flowing with the government shutdown in place? Let me know what you think in the comments. As always, feel free to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.